Night 2, the contestants consisted of Christine Wilshel, Andrew He, Jonathan Fisher. Just because I haven't expressed enough disappointment, I need to address this lineup of champions. I was already disappointed to see Jonathan Fisher and Andrew He competing against each other in the quarterfinals. Jonathan Fisher is Matt Emodio's Giant Killer, the only back-to-back super champions in the history of the show, and he's the only super champion in season 38 to bet it on Final Jeopardy twice, on his first game and on his last game. I hate that it took me a year to notice he went full circle. It's also a fun coincidence to see Jonathan competing less than a week after the anniversary of his loss. Meanwhile, only 9 days from now will be a year since Andrew He made his Jeopardy debut. You want to talk about records? Andrew He was the first champion since Matt Emodio to score over $50,000 in a single game. Technically, Dan Rager did too. And it was also the first player since Matt to score $18,600 at the end of single Jeopardy. Amy Schneider is the only other player to have scored that exact amount at the end of single Jeopardy. And he held the record for the highest daily double wager in season 38. $14,000 exactly on the game he beat Molly Carroll by a single dollar. Seeing Andrew and Jonathan play against each other in the quarterfinals was just not a good matchup. Christine Wilshel said not to underestimate her in the Tournament of Champions. She was the first 4-day winner since Amy Schneider, which took almost a month to do, and Ken Jennings considers 4 wins to be huge on Jeopardy. Unfortunately for Christine, fans did consider it an upset if she won this game. This lineup specifically means we won't see a rematch between Christine and Margaret, Andrew and Amy, and the most anticipated rematch as of just 2 weeks ago, Matt, Jonathan, and Jessica. Maybe that's what the Great Exhibition should have consisted of. I also noticed Christine dyed her hair. I said so much and we haven't even gotten to Ken's preamble. After thanking Johnny Gilbert, Ken Jennings' introduction was, "And welcome to the second of our quarterfinal game in our Tournament of Champions. Yesterday, 4-day champion Maureen O'Neill secured her spot in the semifinals, and today we welcome back our champions, Jonathan, Andrew, and Christine, who are hoping to join her. You know, we are just overflowing with talent in this year's tournament. It's an embarrassment of riches. I can't wait to see what happens in today's game." 2022, that's funny. One of the categories was plays and playwrights. Looks like this round is all Jonathan's. The last category in the Jeopardy round in yesterday's game was the Parliament of Vowels. The last category in this game was Vowellist Hawaiian. Christine got the first daily double, risked $1,000 to get back on the positive side. Unfortunately, answered wrong and went down to negative $1,400. Switzerland was formed in the 13th century after an alliance of these political divisions formed to combat the Habsburgs. I could have sworn there was a daily double recently that asked about Swiss history. Regardless, I'll save this for when I need it. Christine is back in school and studying music. That's right, one of my biggest dream besides Jeopardy was to have a music degree, and so I'm studying for a master's in music and piano performance. As much as I love that she's achieving her goals, I thought she was a piano teacher herself. I remember she played violin for her Lamas. Ken congratulated her and wished her luck. Andrew had a bit of a second career after his Jeopardy appearance. Totally. So purely on the basis of my copious game show experience, I had the honor of hosting a little newlywed kind of game at my friend's wedding recently. And I think if I get a couple more gigs, I'm going to come for you, Ken. The audience laughed. Then Ken asked if it was a good gig. Is that a good gig? I'll do weddings, I'll do bar mitzvahs, I don't care. Jonathan's anecdote was his friends say to him, "Well, if it isn't Jeopardy champion Jonathan Fisher," just dripping with sarcasm. Why sarcasm? He won 11 games and was in the top 10 for the most games won on Jeopardy before getting knocked down later in the season. I also just noticed Jonathan's the first 11-game champion since Chris Panulo to play on Jeopardy. Nobody answered the last question in the first round. Andrew was in second place at $7,600. Christine was in third place at negative $1,000, and Jonathan was in the lead at $8,200. So far, so good.
He got both daily doubles.
Or as I should say, he got both daily doubles and double Jeopardy. I miss saying that. The first he wagered $5,000, got it right, and went to $17,000. Believe it or not, I only know this question because of Duolingo. Here's this basilica that looms over Paris. The answer was Sacré-Cœur. Andrew got the second daily double in double Jeopardy, wagered $10,000. Unfortunately answered wrong and went down to $8,600. Angelica's dad, he directed the screen adaptation of Annie, one of his final films. Annie was the answer to the final Jeopardy round in Amy Schneider's 30th game. Magdalene Bridge, also called the Great Bridge, crosses this 3-letter river in a British university city. The answer was Cambridge, which is the same name as the city Marine just moved to. Jonathan ended Double Jeopardy winning $19,800. Ender was in second place at $13,800, and Christine was in third place at $2,200. At this point, I don't know who to root for. The final Jeopardy category was poets. As soon as the category was revealed, Ken added, "I know you're good on plays, Jonathan. Let's see how you three are with poetry." Exactly what I was thinking. The question was, inspired by stories from his grandfather, his Battle of Lovell's Pond appeared in the Portland Gazette in 1820 when he was 13. So he would have had to be born in 1806 or 1807. I know Emerson was born in 1779. I don't know. None of the contestants answered correctly. No, this is an early American poet, as you knew, that the Maine-born won from the Partling event, Henry Langsworth Longfellow. This was Longfellow. This is the third game from Ender. He when I hit the scores. Christine didn't wager anything. Ender risked $1,799, taking him down to $12,001. How did Jonathan do? Here is $7,801 and went down to $11,999. Ender won by $2, which the audience gasped at, and Jonathan laughed at. Three things came to mind just then. First of all, Jonathan is the second super champion already to lose in the quarterfinals this season. It begs the question, what if Matt, Amy, and Matea played in the quarterfinals? Taking a look at Ryan and Jonathan losing makes the buys a lot more disappointing. Fans were especially disappointed that we won't get to see what was essentially the most anticipated potential rematch in the history of Jeopardy. Matt Amodio, Jonathan Fisher, and Jessica Stevens. I just can't get over that. Ryan and Jonathan are the only two super champions from the last season to play in the quarterfinals, and they both lost. Second, Ender won by $2 close to the anniversary of when he beat Dane Raggard by the same margin. I wonder if he also has an uncle that'll give him $2 bills. Both Jonathan and Dane were strong players. Third, including this game, Ender won 6 games in total. Half of them were won by close margins, which technically means Ender and Megan won half their games by almost the exact same margin. They both won the most close games this season. Fourth, I typically don't mention the Coriat scores, especially since I just found out what that was. Jonathan and Ender's were close, and that results from the scores you just saw. Some fans consider it an upset that Ender won and Jonathan lost. Not necessarily. Ender had super champion potential and broke multiple records despite winning fewer than half of Jonathan's games. However, since Jonathan defeated a super champion and defeated Jessica Stevens by $401, all three of whom were strong players, I wouldn't have been surprised whether Jonathan or Ender won. That also says a lot about Ender's potential. Now I do have a lot more to say about this, so tune in for part 3, where we take a look at the aftermath of Jonathan Fisher's loss. Congratulations to Andrew. Let's hope we can still see a rematch between him and Amy.
And as always, thank you for watching.